Light a candle. One candle can light thousands of others without losing its own light. In the same way, Christian joy can spread among people who may know one or two persons who live the Christian message fully. There is a true story about more than 100,000 spectators who taught themselves an unforgettable lesson when they jammed the Los Angeles Coliseum one evening in June 1945. After a mock battle scene had driven home the seeming helplessness of the human individual, silence fell. Only the voice of the master of ceremonies could be heard. The day-like splendor of the arena was transformed into total darkness when the giant searchlights bathing every corner of the Colosseum were shut off. Then the speaker struck a match, and in the blackness the tiny flame could be seen by all. "Now you can see the importance of one little light," he said. "Suppose we all strike a light." In an instant, matches were struck all over the stadium until nearly 100,000 pinpoints of light illuminated the summer night. Everyone gasped in surprise. Quickly and effectively, they comprehended that it is within the power of every single individual to light a candle rather than cast darkness. There is little danger of exaggerating the far-reaching possibilities for good in your every prayer, word, or deed. No matter how insignificant it may seem to you, it is important in God's sight. You will do well to reflect occasionally on considerations such as this. There is nobody quite like you. God has assigned to you a personal mission in life to fulfill that He has given to no one else. The world will be a little better or a little worse because you have been in it. You are needed. If everyone concluded, "I do not count," imagine what consequences would result. You are important and no one will be exactly in the same circumstances or be offered the same opportunities as you. See the value of small beginnings. Breakdown of the home, juvenile delinquency, moral corruption, widespread dishonesty, racial unrest, irreligion, and the loss of hope are the result of one person after another backing away from his or her responsibilities. A hopeful change for the better is bound to take place once individual after individual shows initiative in making even the slightest effort that will bring spiritual or temporal advantages to man. Remember, the longest journey begins with one step. Do what you can. Never underestimate what a person like you can do and ought to do by the grace of God to bring the Christian teaching to all souls, so preparing a suitable climate on earth. This is so that all may more readily attain the joys of heaven for which they were created. A misplaced paintbrush once stopped Big Ben, the world's most famous clock, for 94 minutes, causing some confusion in London's Parliament Square. Pedestrians looked up in wonder. Bus conductors glanced at the usually dependable timepiece and then hurriedly consulted the drivers. The trouble was started by a workman sprucing up the inside of the clock tower. He inadvertently left his brush on the transmission shaft of the 14-turn timepiece. Engineers soon corrected things, but not before Big Ben boomed out 10 o'clock some 15 minutes later. Now, a small inadvertence can sometimes lead to unexpected results, ranging from inconvenience to outright tragedy. At times, we are tempted to think that our vote, our attendance at key meetings, or our letter or word of encouragement does not mean much. In God's sight, it does. And the future of many who may never meet this side of eternity may depend on it. Check on little things. They are bigger than you think. Benjamin Disraeli, had a formula for persevering in spite of opposition that should prove helpful to anyone tempted to give up on a good cause. Asked how he kept on without seeing results, the 19th century British statesman replied, "Have you ever watched a stone cutter at work? He will hammer away at a rock for perhaps 100 times without a crack showing in it. Then, at the 101st blow, it will split into two. It is not alone that blow which accomplishes the result, but the 100 others that went before it as well." Many worthy endeavors come to a halt, just short of the mark for want of that extra push which separates success from failure. Anyone who wants to change the world for the better, from solving neighborhood problems to influencing the great issues that decide the fate of mankind, will find that victory does not come cheaply. But if you expect a worthwhile job to take 100 efforts, you will be less likely to slacken when you have gone only 2/3 of the way. Now consider this. Do everything for the love of God. In that way, there will be no little things. Everything will be big because perseverance in the little things for love is heroism. Also, don't judge by the smallness of the beginnings. My attention was once drawn to the fact that there is no difference in size between seeds that produce annual plants and those that grow into ageless trees. Have you ever seen how that imposing building was constructed? One brick after another. Thousands, but one by one. And bags of cement, one by one. And stone upon stone, each of them insignificant compared to the massive whole. And beams of steel, and men working, hour after hour, day after day, week after week, and so on. That imposing building was constructed by dint of little things. Persevere in the exact fulfillment of the obligations of the moment. That work, humble, monotonous, small, is prayer expressed in action, which prepares you to receive the grace of that other work, great and broad and deep, of which you dream. Remember Jesus Christ when the poor widow left her alms in the temple. Give him what you can. The merit is not in whether it is big or small, but in the intention with which you give it. Finally, it is true that at most you play the part of a small bolt in that great undertaking of Jesus Christ. But do you know what happens if the bolt is not tight enough, or when it works itself out of place? Bigger parts also work loose, or gears are damaged or broken. The whole world is slowed down. Perhaps the whole machine will be rendered useless. What a big thing it is to be a little bolt.